Today's topic is seizing REO listings and opportunities, and our special guest is Larry White. I'm going to do a brief introduction, and as I am doing that introduction, here's what I am asking from all of you, whether you are live in the Zoom room with us or watching the live stream in the Facebook group. We would love to know, do you have past REO experience? Could be REO, BPO, anything along those lines, number one. And number two, what market area or areas do you service? So comment in the chat in the Zoom room or on the a comment in the Facebook group if you have prior REO experience and what market or markets you serve. So our special guest today is a man by the name of Larry White. And I've known Larry for, almost 5 years now. And as I already mentioned, I'm super pumped to have him here because he's never been on before. And I don't know that we've really talked about this topic, certainly not for a very, very long time. He is an absolute beast when it comes to REO, distressed properties, and helping agents find serious opportunity where most other people just see chaos. Some people call him the REO Yoda. I don't know that I've ever referred to him as that, but some people do. And he's been in the trenches for over 20 years. So this is a man with experience. Even though he still has a baby face, he's got a lot of experience. He's led and trained massive agent teams. He's helped grow operations for big names like Carrington, Zome, and Keller Williams. And he's played a key role in some serious growth like scaling agent teams over 450%, driving multi-million-dollar mergers, and a whole lot more. He's now one of the top 100 influencers at eXp and leads a group of over 600 agents. Also co-founded the REO Alliance, which is a dream team of asset management firms who are reshaping how the REO world works. And we're going to get into that today. Here's what also I think we might all relate to is that he's gone through some tough times like we all have. So he went through the 2007 crash, lost it all, and rebuilt from the ground up. So the grit and perspective that he's bringing doesn't come from books. It comes from actually living it. And he's using all of that experience to help agents like you and I thrive in tough markets, especially through REO, foreclosure, and working with investors and investor deals. So this isn't just a bunch of hype. This is someone who's been through it, who's doing it, who is talking with agents like all of us on a regular basis about these opportunities. Larry, I've got my pen and paper handy. I'm excited to take notes. I'm going to move more to moderator role. I don't know if you have any slides to share or anything, but you can share if so. And if you have questions or comments, etc., go ahead and drop them in the chat or comment in the Facebook group. Larry, the floor is yours.
All right, brother. Man, I appreciate being here with all of you guys. And I think that I try and help people align with these REO and institutional opportunities so much because it changed my life. As Josh had mentioned, I graduated college. I was an executive at Target on the fast track to have my own store. Figured out I was working way too much. And so I joined the police department in Phoenix, Arizona, and I took a huge pay cut. So then I was like, man, how can I make up some other money? And that actually led me into real estate. So this was 2006 when everybody was making money. And I was like, man, I want to make some money. And I'm 26, 27 years old at this point in time. I have 5 houses that I'm flipping in Phoenix, Arizona. I have 2 pieces of property in Mexico. I'm doing double escrows at that time, which was, now we call it wholesaling, right? And I had a lot of money in the bank. And I was like, damn, this life thing is easy until it wasn't, right? I remember a lot of my mentors and stuff talking to me saying, make sure that you have an exit plan. Make sure you have this, right? And here's the thing, very similar market, right? History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And so these past 4 or 5 years, you didn't have to buy right. Anything that you bought 4 years ago has appreciated, right? Like interest rates were lower. Like you could have fallen into investing and knocked it out of the park by accident. And this brings some false confidence at the end of the day, right? Oh, I can do this. And so Now you take that investment and you make it 2 properties and 3 properties and 4 properties, and you compound it. You're like, man, I'm quitting my job, which is what I did, right? I quit my job and I went all in on real estate, and then the market turned. And now I have 5 properties that are sitting there that I can't rent out. I can't sell because they're down to the studs. They're in the middle of this remodel process. And I lost everything. I went through bankrupt. I went through foreclosure. I went through short sales. I used over 6 figures that I had saved up in my bank account to try and stabilize these assets that were just bleeding money, that were reducing in price every single month at this point. And so it's interesting to look at the patterns and look at these similarities and stuff in the market. But let's talk about a couple of topics here. And I want this to be interactive, because the more that you guys lean into this, the more you guys will be able to recognize kind of your market and stuff here. But let's just start with inventory. What do you see happening with inventory in your market? So type it in the chat.
Drop it in the chat. James, go ahead. I see your head. Oh, you were signaling that yours is going up, James. Yeah,
Going
absolutely.
up.
Yeah. Elon increasing, Bill increasing. I'll say that it's also increasing here in central Pennsylvania as well. Jennifer says it's ticking up. Isabel increasing. Seems like a pretty universal theme here.
Yeah. Like I look at these patterns and stuff because there's a lot of leading indicators, right? Inventory is one of them, right? With inventory with less than 2 months supply, anything that you bought was going to appreciate. And the supply and demand curve at that point in time. When you get to about 6 months supply of inventory, you're about average, right? You're talking 3 to 4 months. So we're starting to creep up to that, right? And then once you get over that 6 month supply of inventory, now you have a lot of downturn pressure on pricing. And so you guys, as the market leaders, as the industry specialists in your area, you guys have to know what's going on. And here's the thing. I live in Houston, Texas, right? Houston is 2 hours from Houston. There is a lot of subcultures within the Houston market. I have some areas that still have 2-3 months supply of inventory. I have others that have 13 to 17 months supply of inventory. Those are different markets, all within the same region up there.
Yeah.
So when you're evaluating and adding value to your client, like this is important because you have to forward pace these markets. Because if you price that incorrectly from the start and there's 17 months supply of inventory, you're going to be chasing that market. And if the client listened to you and was like, Jennifer, you told me to price it at 600 and we listened to you, right? And now like you're chasing this market, that's on you. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I think it's pretty common to see here that inventory is increasing across the board. There were some reports that came out that just says that we hit 1 million homes nationally on the MLS. So reports are starting to see this. So that's the first part. In the last 4 or 5 years, what's happened with interest rates? Go ahead, put it in the chat box.
Yep.
And these are rhetorical.
Doubled.
Because I already know the answers to them, right? So obviously, interest rates have increased, right? So people do not have as much buying power as they did 4 and 5 years ago, right? So what's happened to our actual sales at this point in time? They're actually coming down because people can't afford to as much. People are sitting on the sidelines right now. It may not be drastic yet, but we're just setting this up. So we have inventory that's increasing. We have interest rates that are increasing, right? We have sales that are ticking down in most areas. We have our days on market that are increasing because of the increase of supply. Let me ask you this. What's happening to our rental market? What are you guys seeing on that side?
I'll say transparently, I don't track that as much as I probably ought to. I'm gonna give a shout out to Larry, because Larry didn't just answer generically when we were talking about increasing inventory. He knew the percent increase in his market. That's a market expert. So Larry, kudos for knowing that your inventory is up 22%. Increased rents, more competitive rental prices going up, less rentals available, increasing. Oh, that was to the other question. So generally speaking, similar.
Yeah. So rental prices are going up. So we have people that are not buying here, right? And then they're going to rent it but sometimes they're even paying more to rent on the sideline. Like that is not a good situation at this point in time. Now, here's the key question. Do you guys know why that's happening? Do you know why rental prices have increased so much? This started in probably about 2012 or 13. We had new players coming into the market. Anybody know who that is?
Institutional buyers.
Hedge funds.
Yeah, institutional buyers, right? And where did they put competition? They didn't do it in this luxury space. They did it where 70% of buyers are, right? Those everyday single family homes, 3 to 4 bedrooms, school districts, this and that. And so it put this increase in demand on our market, which increased with the appreciation on prices and stuff here. And when you start controlling more of the inventory, it's supply and demand. There's institutions that bought entire subdivisions in Las Vegas. Literally, they were like, 20 homes, we'll take all 400 homes and we'll turn those into the rental market. So now we start losing options as home buyers stuff at this point in time. And so this is where we're coming into a really interesting place in this market, right? Some of the leading indicators that I look at on a daily basis, on a quarterly basis, et cetera, right, is consumer debt. It's at a historic record high right now, higher than it's ever been in our history. So that tells me that people are spending the same amount of money or more, and they're not making much. So that starts going.
Yep.
The second part is auto default loans are at an all-time high. How fast did that shift, guys? Because 5 years ago, like I had a 2007 Toyota Corolla sitting in my driveway that I never drove. It was just an extra car that I couldn't fathom like giving away for $1,000 because like it drove forever and stuff like that. And there was not a car on a dealership lot during COVID. Literally, you would drive by a dealership and it was a ghost town. They didn't have any inventory. I had a gentleman driving my neighborhood, knock on my door and was like, "Are you willing to sell that car?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely. Everything has a price." I paid $15,000 for that car. It now had 200,000 miles on it. And the guy said, "Would you take $6,000? I was like, "Absolutely, I would." Literally, I sold it on the spot for $6,000 because it was a supply and demand issue. Now you're coming into a point where I told my wife, in the next 2 to 4 years, we will buy your dream car. I don't care what it is. You are at a point now, depending on the car, like even new cars, you can negotiate for less than MSRP. If you've ever wanted one of the new model Corvettes, there's almost 6,000 brand new Corvettes on the dealership lots right now. That's a supply and demand issue because there's not 6,000 people that want to buy those cars right now. So when we start looking at this, going back, we're starting to see auto default loans rise at a record pace right now. So consumer debt's going, so we're overspending. Now we have to start choosing which bills we stop paying at this point. And now you start looking at what's happening with the US economy and stuff in general. For the first time ever in our history, our credit score was downgraded.
Yeah.
We are no longer that 800 FICO score buyer, according to the world. More volatility in our political structure than that I've seen since I've been on. One day, if you have a lot of money invested in stock or crypto, you are rich, and the next day you are poor. And it's just like that. So if you're like, I have this money here that I can pull from, that might change. You were invested in Tesla and Nvidia at the beginning of the year, and you thought you were the smartest person in the world. And now you're crying, right? Because you didn't pull your profits and stuff. You didn't have an exit strategy built in place. And so you see these trends happening over and over again. Now we start to lose options. So now we have this increased inventory here, right? We're having days on market. Now you will start to see this increased competition on pricing. And when you're an institution, when you're a bank, you're tied to the numbers. You're not emotionally tied to this property. So they will start undercutting. But what you're saying now is think about this. We have not foreclosed on homes since 2020.
Yeah.
Because COVID came into play and we're like, whoa, we've never seen this before. And then we turned into Oprah and we were like, Josh, you get $800 and James, you get $800 and Jennifer gets 800. Oh, and Richard, you have a business, you get $100,000, right? And we pumped trillions of dollars into this market, which sent this house of cards straight through the roof. I can tell you, I don't have a crystal ball, but winter is coming. Now is the time that you want to start aligning for these future opportunities. People have not focused on this opportunity because there's no REO, you're not foreclosing. That's where you gobble market share. I can tell you that last year in Houston, Texas, when nobody's foreclosing, my wife took 46 listings in a 2-week time frame from one client. So you can follow your narrative, or you can figure out, right, who moved my cheese and figure out what's happening and who has that inventory and stuff right now. So for the first time ever, last year, I started saying that this market could actually be worse than the last market. I didn't think that was possible. But again, I didn't anticipate COVID. I didn't anticipate all of this money coming in, right? I didn't anticipate any of this stuff either. So I can't tell you when that's going to happen, but I can tell you that you need to start shifting and positioning and stuff for them. Buyers will be a lot more valuable here in the near future because they will have this abundance. That will be the fast money, right? You always want these listings and stuff sitting here, but I'm encouraging you to be very diversified and have a large buyer pool as well, because those are going to be the things that move fast. Yeah.
And the best asset for buyers is listings. Let's face it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is what got me working with these institutional investors was in 2008, 2009, I had a team, we were doing 300. Our goal was a deal a day. We got to a deal every business day. And my team, we closed 322 deals in 2009 or 2010, one of those years. And what would happen is the abundance of sign calls that we would get.
Yeah.
I actually had a lender put together a call center. He's like, how do I add value to you? I was like, answer all of these calls and just send me my team, the pre-qualified ones. Like, you do that, right? We can do more business together. Right. And so we would get all of these calls of people, I want to make an offer on 123 Main Street. And literally it would be like, man, that home's under contract, or that's this, or that's that. But I have a list of homes that aren't on the market. Would that add value to you? And that's how I started building relationships and adding value to these investors, which led to me working with the institutions like Colony American Homes and Blackstone, acquiring 30, 40, 50 properties a month for them when you could buy homes in Las Vegas for $70,000 to $120,000. So this is where you have to constantly look at these trends, and the market's always moving. You have to be moving with it, or you have to be okay with the results that you get if you're not willing to change. Larry, I don't want to do that. Okay. Do you want to have $0 in your bank account? It doesn't matter to me. It matters what you want. And at some point, you're going to have enough leverage where you're forced to change, whether that's getting a job, whether that's doing this. And this is what I see coming. And I've had big REO teams and stuff myself. I'm coach and trained for Tom Berry. I joined Carrington Real Estate Services. It was funny. I was sitting at KW, and KW gave me anything that I wanted. One, because I brought 30 agents with me, and they were all about recruiting at that time. Two, my team was doing 300 plus deals a year. And so I didn't pay a split to KW. I didn't pay for office space. They gave me free admin. Anything I asked for, I got. And I was really happy with them. And then Carrington called and was like, hey, why don't you come help us with this startup company? I was like, guys, why in the hell would I do that? I have it so easy right now. And they were like, Larry, If you join us, we'll give you 500 listings next year. And I was like, babe, we're moving to Las Vegas. I signed a contract really quick because nobody had ever offered me that before. And so here's the thing, Carrington owns 17 different companies, including their own asset management company. So for 8 years, I was their head of business development, the regional director of growth. I would just look and see where their loans were foreclosing, and I would go open up companies, wash, rinse, repeat over and over again. After about 8 years, my largest client was Zone Mr. Cooper Nation Star, the fourth largest lender in the country. It was just acquired. Mr. Cooper was just acquired by Rocket Mortgage. I'm sorry. They were just acquired by Rocket Mortgage. Right. And so now I'm in a unique space where I consult for about 8 different asset management companies. And I don't try and dictate what they do. I try and have the solution when they call me. Here in a little bit, I'll put a link if you're not already in my REO referral database. I always need more coverage, right? I constantly, sometimes I've got calls that are like, Larry, I need a listing agent in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Are you making this up? Is that a real word? Or did you just type in? But literally, I have a top producer now in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, right? So I never know what they need or where they need it. But when they reach out to me, I want to make sure that I have the solution. In order to do that, I need you to fill out an input form. I need you to go through an interview. We're going to talk because it's not my job to dictate to those clients like, oh, you have to use Josh. Because if I do that, if Richard says you have to list it at 500 and it doesn't sell at 500, that's on you. Same thing when I'm making referrals from agents. I'm like, look, here's Josh Slowly. He does X, Y, and Z. He has this experience. He has this experience. I also have Jennifer Johnson in that area and blah, 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 blah. Which one of these sound best to you? And so I give them options. They make choices at the end of the day. But last year, I helped sign over 1,400 REO listings when there's not supposed to be REO. So you can continue this message that there's not these opportunities, or you can figure out where they are at the end of the day, because it's coming. And now is the time for you guys to start prepping for that. If you guys have experience, one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is that agents simply don't have their portals updated. Your E&O is outdated. You don't have an updated license and stuff in there. And if you don't have those simple things done, they're never sending you a deal. They can't at the end of the day. So sometimes you can just be in the right place at the right time. I'm happy to send you guys a list. After I get you guys into my database, I'll send you guys a list of the top 30 asset management companies. And it's odd. I saw a lot of people that actually have some experience. There used to be hundreds. There will be more that pop up. There might be 10 to 15 that actually have any sort of inventory that they can drive right now, and maybe 30 that are still in business. I would sign up for all of them, because the most common thing is they're going to come back and say, oh, Larry, we are not accepting people in our database and stuff right now, but we'll keep you on file for when we do. That's going to be the most, because there's not a ton of inventory. Excuse me. There are opportunities, but it's going to take that time where they're like, man, we just gave Ariana 46 listings. Maybe we should diversify. Let's try Jimmy. Let's try Tosh. And that's when you shine, right? That's when you can gather some market share and stuff there, because some of those busier agents, there's just so much time in the day. So as you start to get busier, your level of quality starts to decrease unless you can scale your business. So there will be more and more opportunities that are coming down this pipeline and stuff here in the near future. And this is where I would position with all of these. I would start hitting back on we post a lot of the information on the REO Alliance. This is a Facebook group of about 4,000 agents that we put together with all of the asset management companies and stuff that I consult for. So I just put that in the chat box there. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything and stuff like that. I would start, if you are interested, there's a 5-star conference, there's an ADP, there's all of these things that are targeted. And if you want to be in this space, you got to go where your clients are at the end of the day. right? Talking to an agent with no REO experience or a networking event with people that like, that's not going to help you get into this REO and defaults. But this tapping into resources and stuff like this will be critical. And I want to caution you guys, just as many opportunities, there will also be just as many scams.
Yeah.
So be very skeptical on people that are asking you to pay up front to be a part of their referral network. I'm not saying there's none that add value. There's some in our VA. There's a new company that's called REO X. It's the same people that put together the 5-star conference that have branched off. They have a lot of relationship. I can't vouch for them good or bad. But there are some that people have been with for 20 or 30 years and pay a monthly fee. But I would be very skeptical and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of click funnels and stuff to set up to let me teach you how to get into REO and stuff like that. And now with Chat GPT and stuff like that, I think that we have the tools and the resources at our fingertips to figure out information and stuff there. Jackie just put in there, watch the pre-foreclosure. I think that's one of the biggest opportunities. Don't wait till they actually foreclose, because then you're going to have asset management companies involved.
Yeah.
And you're going to get beat up on your commissions and stuff. And here's the thing, like, I'm in it. There's a lot of people, those 46 listings that we took in Houston, those were at 1.5% commission. Agents are like, I'm not a discount broker. I would never do that. Look, I'm a businessman. I calculated that was $20 million worth of volume. You calculate 1.5% of $20 million, right? You tell me if you want that. And like, in the business decision, did I want to? Would I rather 3%? Absolutely. But they were helping me out. We were able to feed a lot of team members and stuff for that. And we were able to help them out. So it was a win-win for everybody. There's very few REO companies that pay 3% commission, right? Like, I know of one, and that's HUD. I know I'm a HUD listing broker, Arizona.
This is a whole other topic, but take those listings, turn them into buyers, tell the story to the neighbors, and you can take one listing at a discount and turn it into a whole bunch of additional transactions, commissions, etc. So don't forget to see the forest through the trees, right? It's not just about that one transaction. It's the relationship that you establish from that transaction and leveraging that transaction to turn it into as many more client opportunities as you possibly can.
So let me ask you guys this. Excuse my language. How many of you guys have had a shitty experience with an REO listing agent in your career? They didn't answer the phone. They didn't respond to a contract. They didn't do right. The list goes on and on. This is the opportunity to excel. And this is actually how I got into REO. There was an agent in my KW office that literally had 100 listings, was notorious for not, like, I got answers because I walked into his office and was like, hey, did you see this? Right? But other people didn't have those opportunities. I saw an opportunity because he wasn't answering this phone call. He wasn't doing this. I had a call center set up and I was like, Josh, I don't remember his name at this point in time, but I was like, Josh, look, you have all of these listings, right? You're leaving so much money on the table. Why don't we do this? Why don't I put a sign up on every one of your properties? And I was having signs professionally installed for $40 to $60 a sign there. So keep this in mind, right? I was like, I will put up a sign. I'll have a call capture number on every single one of them. I will give you a list of every buyer that called on that sign. In anything that I close, I will give you a 25% referral fee. I will build your buyer seat for you. He was like, damn, that would help me out a lot. I was like, great. So what I didn't have at the time was $6,000 signs on all of these properties. So I maxed out credit cards that did everything that I had to do. And as soon as we did that, our phone started ringing off the hook. And one of those calls was an asset manager who was doing a property inspection. She was like, oh my gosh, you answered your phone. I was like, absolutely. That's what we do. How can I help you? And she's like, I would love to do an inspection of this property. I was like, I will be right there. And literally, like, that set up for so many other opportunities with that particular asset manager and got me into that particular account that I would have never had. So Josh is absolutely right. And so my team would go out anytime we do the initial occupancy check. We're door knocking the 10 neighbors around and saying, hey, I'm getting ready to list this. It's supposed to be vacant. Can I give you my business card? Would you mind if I called you if I ever have questions and stuff on the back? Like most people say it. Now you built your database, right? Now you have buyer calls coming in. Now you can have open house teams. You can have buyer's agents. You can have all of these other streams of income by helping other people do business. On top of that, do you have something, Josh?
So my head is going to, for those that are interested, whether the past experience or not, what would be the top 3 to 5 things that I would from today's session should investigate, take action on? You mentioned a great conference, getting set up on portals, etc. And before we unpack that, just know, and I just changed the description with the link, and I'll add it to the chat here as well. For those that are interested, you can schedule a quick discovery call. We'll take you through a couple of quick questions, and then even set up a little 3-way Zoom with Larry to give you a more specific plan for you and what that might look like for those interested in partnering with the REO Alliance and what we're doing on that front. But just like for the action takers here, what would be like the lowest hanging fruit? What can we do tactically to position ourselves?
So first off, again, the REO Alliance is one of the most active Facebook groups I've seen. Like it started as a test and then it started growing on its own. That is where you're going to find out what's going on. New clients that are coming, companies that are being acquired, different events and stuff that are coming up. It's free. Like tap into it. Those are some of I'm just looking right now and I see a picture of Raphael Diagnosis, right? He's one of our content creators. In the last cycle, he had a team of 8 agents and they sold over 4,000 homes.
Wow.
Those are the people that's on that group. Those are the people that are engaging and stuff. That's free. It doesn't cost you anything.
And that link is in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact, it'll be in the description. If you can't find it, just drop a comment, shoot me a DM, whatever. I'll get you the link to it. It's absolutely free. It's a Facebook group. It's free, but it's not like these other Facebook groups that are like all spammy and whatever. Like this is actual agents, actual REO, people with actual REO experience, and so well worth the cost of $0 for you to check out. Okay, so that's number 1. Join the REO Alliance Facebook group. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the first one. The second one is, right, schedule time with Josh. Josh, I just sent you my input form. I do
Perfect.
the input
Yep.
stuff that I need.
Yep.
So anybody that schedules a call with you, literally just walk through that form because all of that information gets transferred directly into my REO referral database. So I don't have to duplicate and ask all of those questions around the phone. So it expedites the process.
Yep.
Once you go through that input form, you'll have an opportunity to get time on my calendar for the 3 of us. Then we can talk about different opportunities and stuff from there.
And we have some of those scheduled for later this week. So excited for that. Yep.
So this is where I want to make sure that we're going through the channels because it will expedite things. Josh has the link at this point in time for that. And we'll go through the entire input form to help me build out my referral database with the information that I need. I just posted the REO Alliance Facebook page and stuff in there as well.
Perfect.
So those would be the first 2 things. And then the third part is you got to figure out what you want, right? Do you want to be in this? Have you ever done a foreclosure, eviction? Do some research because maybe it's you getting involved on the pre-foreclosure side, which you can work with local title and escrow companies. But if you don't know what you want, it's really hard to get there.
Yeah.
So the more detailed you are, like, okay, I want to get into REOs. What the heck does that mean? Is that doing BPOs? Is that doing evaluation? Right? Is that learning the cycle? There's so many different ways to make money on this. So you have to create your plan. And if your goal is to do 10 REOs a year, that's much different than a plan to do 100 REOs a year. Like you don't need as much. You can target it. And this is where I would tell you guys, figure out how to add value to the client. Because if you go to these REO conferences, when I've spoken at a lot of them, I'll get stacks of business cards that are like, Larry, send me business here. That's not adding value to me. Like I can get a monkey with a license to list a home. How are you adding value? This is where lots of time agents will be like, oh, I'm not doing a BPO for $50. And I'll be like, you know what, James? I'll do that for free. And if you ever need secondary evaluations, contractor bids, other options, boom, let me know. Look and see, search for other REO properties and stuff that are on your MLS. Reach out to the agent and be like, hey, would you mind if I did an open house on your listing? I'll give you feedback on stuff. Build rapport and relationship with other people that are actually doing this. And you're going to run into twofold there. There's going to be some that like cover up the answers to their tests. I don't believe in that. I think there's more than enough business for everybody. I think there's more than enough opportunities and stuff for everybody. And the agents that are doing hundreds and hundreds of deals, they're not doing it by themselves. They're helping other people grow and stuff at that point as well. If you don't have experience, this is going to be the hard work. You're going to fill out your application and you'll be like, oh, Richard, man, your background sounds great. Why don't you come back to us when you have REO experience? Then you get into this chicken or the egg. How do I get experience if nobody gives me a chance? And so this is where I probably have 8, 9 different agents across the country that have wanted to get in, and we'll put together a mentor program, right? Where they can use my experience. But look, we split the first 5 to 10 deals 50-50. They're like, damn, that's a heavy referral fee. Here's the other option. You spend the next 20 years building this rapport, these relationships, because if I pass along your name and you F up, that's on me. They're not going to call you at the end of the day. They're trusting me. So if it's going to take my time to review your BPOs, make sure that you're like, I'm paying my assistant to review your portals every single day to make sure that you're not listing a task because it's different. Everything is tracked and measured, right? It's not, oh, Larry, list this property. Okay, I'll do that tomorrow. That's going to lose an account for you. So if I'm going to put my neck out there for somebody that doesn't have experience that I don't know and trust at this point in time, like I have to be compensated and I have to have your logins. If you drop the ball, I got to be able to jump in there and pick it up just like that. So there are going to be more and more opportunities as this runs. The 2 action items that I would have for today is if you're interested, join the REO Alliance, get time with Josh, go through the input form, and let's get you into my REO referral network. And then once we have that information, then I can say, okay, look, you don't have experience. So let's start with the mentor program of 5. I'll add you in here. We'll do this. If you have experience, then it's like waiting for that opportunity. Because I don't have this abundance. I don't have this list here of what I'm assigning this week. It's when the client calls that I reach out to you. And and here's what I will tell you. If you're not in my REO referral database, I'm never reaching out to you. Right. So again, it's a cause and effect type scenario.
A couple of things I want to double tap on. Number one, every business and every niche has crap, right? There's no perfect opportunity, business-wise and niche-wise. I want to emphasize the fact that something that Larry said there, this may or may not be a niche that you want to do and be getting business from. So first and foremost, invest the time and energy to decide, is this something you want? Do you want these kind of opportunities? Do you want to work with this type of clientele? Number one, invest that time and energy, because it's cliche analogy, right? But the worst thing is climbing a ladder and realizing it was up against the wrong building, right? Chasing something that doesn't resonate with you. It just doesn't fit your personality, et cetera. Because the beautiful thing about real estate is there's lots of ways to build your business. There's lots of strategies that can work if you do the work, right? So decide whether or not that makes sense. And one way to help with that decision is probably to join the Facebook group and just dig in, check things out, see what kind of feedback is out there. Talk to other people with REO experience. There's lots of people in the chat here that have great experience. Doreen mentions that she did 72 Fannie Mae HomePath REOs as a buyer's agent before they invited her to become a preferred HomePath listing agent. 72. That's someone with persistence and perspective, right? Putting in the work to get those opportunities. And it seems as though I don't get the sense that she regrets it.
She figured out ways to add value.
Yep.
That's what I'm telling you. They're not going to open the door to somebody that they don't know. So get them to know you.
Yeah.
If they're a private money lender, oh my gosh, I work with so many investors. Could I help drive some more private money? I just did this. James Herbert was the head of Colony American Homes. I helped him buy over 400 properties in Vegas for his personal portfolio. He has since went to open up Ciave, I believe is the name of it. It's a private money lender. They just closed their 100,000 private money loan since 2014. And so I reached back out to him and I was like, James, man, I work with a lot of investors, right? These different networks. I would love to help Ciave grow. But let me ask you, I'm starting to see a lot of private money loans start to default. What do you guys do with that? And coincidentally, the next week, I was on a call with the head of their default department. Right now, they only have 150 across the country today. I'm not worried about that. I was like, look, I want to be your guys' spare tire. I'm sure you guys have an agent network and stuff like that already. I want to be here when you need me. When your tire blows out, that's when I want you to call me. When you can't sell something, when somebody drops the ball at that point. And this is would be the other thing that I would make sure that you guys want, right? I teach people to do this because it changed my life. I saw somebody on here talk about, look, this is security for a downturn. Absolutely. I figured out early on that because I was a big Mike Ferry agent to start. So I prospected. I went on 20 listing appointments a week, right? I did all of that. Most of those clients were buying and selling once every 8 to 12 years. I realized that this clientele could give me 10, 20, 30 listings every single year after year. And that's where my business plan shifted. Not for everybody. And that's okay. What is your goal? And how do you want to align here for the future?
Yeah, Shay's full comment is this is business protection strategy for down markets, right? It's almost like business insurance. If you become good at it, you can keep transacting during hard times. And that's the trick in this business is like getting through that, right? Like that's where the hard times for those that can persevere become the best times in retrospect. But it doesn't feel that way when you're going through it. But retrospectively, when you're able to get through it, there's generally speaking a big wave in your favor by persevering and persisting and finding ways to profit when things are down. And let's face it, I mean, even though there aren't a ton of REO opportunities right now, it's tough. Like transaction count, it's reality, right? Who's going to persist and find ways to keep transacting and get through these tough times? I think there was a question by, I'm not sure if I'm saying it, but Savan. Wouldn't short sales prevent the foreclosures? 2009 started with short sales. The banks would rather negotiate that and go through the foreclosure process. That goes back to the idea of being, if this is of interest to you, maybe first focusing on the pre-foreclosure niche, the people that are in trouble, because a certain percentage of them are in trouble and also underwater. And so that would uncover potentially short sale opportunities where there may be the chance for you to A, help them, and B, get paid handsomely to do. Larry, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's how I see that question or comment for sure.
So yeah, that's the best alternative for a client, right? And when you come from this adding value to others, that's what will create raving fans.
Yep.
When you can help them avoid foreclosure, help them avoid destroying their credit for the next 8 years type thing. That will create some raving fans. But I can tell you, like, there's going to be abundance. The most common thing, people that fall behind, it's embarrassing. There's a shot to the ego. Sometimes I've showed up at foreclosures and they never even told their spouse, where they're renting the house and the investor never told them that they stopped. They're like, I've been paying my rent up this entire time. And I'm like, man, I'm really sorry. Let's figure out how to get you in the best situation. Let me figure out how to get you as much of that money back in a cash for keys, right? That's becomes where you become this intermediary. You can do this. And so a lot of people will stick their head in the sand and be like, okay, when I get a job, then I'll make this up. When I do this, and the first part never happened. So then the second part never happened, right?
Yeah.
So with as big of an opportunity as there will be for short sales in a shifting market, it's Like there's no way that all of them will capture. Agents won't be able to reach out to all of them. What you say, you won't say the right things to them, right? You'll offend their ego, right? If you're like, hey, I see you haven't been paying your mortgage on time. You're on the notice of default list. The wrong thing. You're going to have this sales wall and this ego go up, right? So you have to work on your scripting. And if you're targeting that, I use the platform where I have some of the largest institutions buying in the country. So if I call on a FISBO expired or somebody on the notice default list, my group reaches out and says, hey, Josh, look, I know that you had no desire to sell your home. I have people looking in this area and they're just not finding the right niche, but they want to make an offer on your property. Is that something that you're willing to look at? If you know they're behind on their payments and stuff like that, that's a very easy way to lead into it. And they're like, yeah, I would think about that. Well, great. Josh, in order for me to get you the highest price, I need to do a quick walkthrough. Well, 5 or 10 minutes. I need some pictures, ask you some specific questions. Josh, I'm sure you want the highest amount for your property, right? Okay, great. When
Absolutely.
for me to get out there? Wednesday at 3 or Thursday at 4.
Yep.
They'll have a very high conversion ratio because you know the problem. You're just coming with a solution. So this is where your scripting, where your value add propositions and stuff come in. Then go get them those offers, right? And then bring them to the table and say, look, Josh, here's the offers I have on the table. Some people, if we actually put it on the MLS, we can get even more competition. I think you could get this price, right? Which one of these works better? Now you give options, they make choices, right? And you move forward with whatever that might be.
If you're not familiar with our mastermind sessions, we've done 2 recently on leveraging cash offers, like exactly how Larry is describing. And so you're not leading with, hey, I know you're behind on payments and you should probably sell your house. Hey, I have an out-of-state institutional buyer who would like to make an offer on your property. Is that something you'd at all be open to? Maybe, possibly. Okay, I can get you preliminary offers, and then Larry's scripting from that was perfect. But to get the best offer, I just need to pop by for a quick tour. I'll actually be in the neighborhood or in the area tomorrow afternoon. I don't know if it would work for me to stop by for 10 or 15 minutes. By the way, that exact scripting and process is how I have 4 appointments like that. Not all in pre-foreclosure or anything like that, but motivated sellers. I have 4 back-to-back appointments tomorrow morning starting at 10 o'clock using that exact process. I have someone that would like to buy your house. I can get your preliminary numbers, but you want the best offer, don't you? You don't want to give the property away. All I have to do is pop by for a quick tour. I'm going to be in the area tomorrow morning. I could stop by at 10, 15 minutes, ask you some questions, get you some quick pictures. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You can find the people that are in distress manually or through data providers, and all that stands in the way is the work. Just do the work. Just have the conversations. Yeah, service first approach, helping first and making an offer, but it's a subtle offer. And it's not, I see you're behind on payments and facing foreclosures. Would you sell me your house? It's, I have someone, they're interested. Is that something you'd at all be open to entertaining? Or would you at all be open to entertaining offers for the property? And then once you get in the door, usually you get the full story, or at least maybe not immediately, but once you establish that. And the other thing is, if you're the one that they meet with, you have a 75% chance. The data says 75% of people meet with one person. And the ones that meet with more, if you've done a good job, you're just going to get the business more often than not, as long as you don't do something to lose it. Love that as well. A bunch of people are asking about the link for the Facebook group. It's in the chat. I put it in the comment thread as well. If you can't find it or whatever, just shoot me a DM or text me or email me. I have a bunch of people that have scheduled a time to chat so we can just go through the little intake form. It literally will take 10 or 15 minutes tops. And then we can schedule a time with the 3 of us, Larry and I, and those that are interested and it makes sense to explore further. It's growwithjosh.com/REO. Growwithjosh.com/REO. It's just a calendar. You can grab time on there. And if you can't find time that works, because I do have appointments tomorrow morning and Friday's a little sketchy for me, just directly call or text or email me and we'll find a time that works. Larry, any final thoughts or words of wisdom for everyone here before we wrap up at the top of the hour?
I would just say, if this is a part that you're interested in, lean into it.
Yeah.
A lot of people will not get instant gratification with it. And so they'll stop. the process. So this is not an instant. This is about setting your business up for the next 4 to 8 years as I see it.
Yep.
Because keep this in mind. Our average market cycle is 8 to 12 years. If we started this cycle in 2008, let's call it 2009, we're past that. And I think that this should have happened in 2019 or 20, but we had some things come into our market that we didn't control. So it artificially inflated the market, extended this cycle and stuff here. And that's where I think it's compounded enough to where this could be bigger than the last cycle. So I truly feel that people that use this will set up the next 4 to 8 years of business, and you'll be able to help a lot of other people grow. Buyers agents, transaction coordinators, open house agents, rekey experts, contractors. I'm talking like literally, when you pump more into the economy, you help a lot of other people. And as you help other people, you also help yourself.
No doubt. Larry, thank you. Once again, you can schedule a time to chat, growwithjosh.com/REO. Join the REO Alliance Facebook group as well. There are just a couple of questions that you have to answer. It's 3 questions. It's super simple. Do you have experience at what market area and who do you work with currently? Request that. They do review those, right? So just to make sure that it's not spam and bots and all that other nonsense in there. And for those who are interested and this makes sense for, we'll chat and loop in Larry if appropriate, and we'll take it from there. I'll also link up with this replay here, the cash offers mastermind, because it's relevant to at least the back half of this for those that are interested and want to have a strategy for adding or pursuing pre-foreclosure and folks that are distressed, but leading from a place of service and value first. So I'll include those there. Feel free to call, text, or shoot me a DM or email me if you have any questions.